Lots of excitement in Hollywood today now that the nominations for the 96th Annual Academy Awards are out. As usual, there were some big snubs and surprises.
That's right. Danya Backus reports from Los Angeles.
Congratulations to this year's nominees.
Actors Jack Quaid and Zazie Beetz announced the nominations Tuesday, and Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer led the pack with 13, including Best Picture and Best Director.
Why are these men looking at me?
The other half of the Barbenheimer phenomenon, Barbie, racked up 8 nominations, including Best Picture and a surprise Best Supporting Actress nod for America Ferrera. But filmmaker Greta Gerwig and star Margot Robbie were left out of the Best Director and Best Actress categories. Also competing for Best Picture are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. For Best Director, Nolan will face off against Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, along with the directors of Anatomy of a Fall, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
I need you here.
Lily Gladstone made history with her Best Actress nomination for her role in Killers of the Flower Moon.
She becomes the first Native American woman to ever be nominated in this category.
She'll compete against Annette Bening for Nyad, Sandra Huller in Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan in Maestro, and Emma Stone in Poor Things.
You got a nice color scheme.
But Gladstone's co-star Leonardo DiCaprio didn't make the cut in the Best Actor category. Instead, the nominations went to Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Oppenheimer's Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Some super interesting nominations overall. So I want to dive a little deeper into this. So let's start with Best Picture, and we've got the nominations behind us. So the nominees for this year are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
You know what's so funny is if it weren't for some of the recent award shows, I would not have heard of some of these movies. And obviously Barbie was huge, Oppenheimer was huge.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, you're starting to hear about some of them because they're being noticed. But it's just always been kind of funny to me that like the average movie watcher like myself, you know, I don't know if these awards are for us. It's more for the people that work so hard and make this art.
Yeah, and which is so interesting you say that, because I do feel like every award season we see these movies emerge that you have your very basics, like Oppenheimer, Barbie are great examples of that, but then you have these very kind of bigger, kind of indie-ish or even foreign films that make this big kind of appearance that people are like, what in the world was this? Good examples of that are Zone of Interest and, I was just thinking what, Anatomy of a Fall. Both of those are kind of movies that not a lot of people knew, but they are blowing up this award season.
Well, and when I first heard of Anatomy of a Fall, I watched the trailer for it, and it is, because I believe it is a foreign film, right?
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
And it did look, I understand why it gets recognized for how amazing it is, but it's just like, I never would have heard of it if it hadn't been noticed for these awards.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'll make predictions with each one if you want to as well.
Okay.
I do think that Oppenheimer will probably win Best Picture, but that's just my little guess.
I kind of agree with you that I think that's the most likely because it was both a box office hit and, you know, very critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
I wish it was going to be Barbie
because
I just think that movie did so much in pop culture, but I think that I feel like they're going to have to give it to the more serious films.
100%. And I think Donnie said this in the package, but Oppenheimer was the most nominated movie for this year's Oscars as well. Okay, so the next one is Best Director. So the nominees for this are Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and then Justine Triet, if I'm saying that right, for Anatomy of a Fall. So again, interesting here because we're seeing the director for Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest, but then you've kind of got these 3 bigger ones that a lot of people know, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon. My guess is on this that Christopher Nolan will probably win. He's been winning, I believe, the other directors' awards this award season. Martin Scorsese, a big name, though. He always has a film that's always nominated every year. This is this one. What I will say about this, though, and I think Danya said this as well, but a lot of people are disappointed today because Greta Gerwig, who is the female director who did Barbie and has been nominated before for Oscars, was not nominated. And I think that is a huge disappointment.
You would almost think any movie that gets nominated for Best Picture, that director should automatically be nominated for Best Director. Like it just kind of correlates in that way. So
it's kind of a hot topic too, but the fact of, you know, the female directors are never recognized highly enough is kind of like an ongoing issue in Hollywood. And I think this is another perfect example.
That's why I immediately was like, well, I want Justine Triet to win, even though I haven't seen the movie.
Maybe it is a woman. I thought that was a male, but I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I know women with the name Justine. But you're right. I don't know anything about that director.
So anyway, was very disappointed about Greta Gerwig, and I think a lot of people that are big Barbie fans were as well. Next up is Best Actor. So we've got Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers. I don't even know how to say his name.
Cillian
Murphy. Okay, for Oppenheimer.
This year.
Yes, I always get so confused when I see that. And then Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Here's the thing. I have not seen Maestro, but I do know that Bradley Cooper put like his heart and soul into this. He spent like 3 years prepping. I listened to an interview that Carey Mulligan did, who's his co-star in this, and she talks about how they spent so much time prepping for this film. I have not seen Rustin either, but I've heard fabulous things about Coleman Domingo's role in it. The Holdovers, if you haven't seen that.
I've heard really good things about that movie.
It's stellar. I watched this like 2 weeks ago, and I loved it. I think Paul Giamatti just shines in this. I would love to see him win, but I think that Cillian's going to end up winning for Oppenheimer. He's been doing very well this award season as well. And then American Fiction is either out now or about to come out. So I don't think a lot of people are familiar with this film yet, but that one does look good as well. So we'll see what happens.
It is so funny, too, because like they said in the package that Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't nominated, even though Killers of the Flower Moon was such a big movie. And he's such a great actor that notoriously has only won this category one time.
Yeah.
And it took like 20-something years for him to win it.
It took so long. Yeah. And it was like The Revenant or whatever, like a random-ish more film for him.
Even though I do want to see Killers of the Flower Moon.
Me too.
I have not seen it yet. But I'm even not seeing it. I'm like, why was he snubbed?
I know.
So it's tough. I don't know how they choose.
It is tough. All right, Best Actress. We've got Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller maybe for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. Here's the thing. I think Lily Gladstone will win, which would be really cool because she's the first ever native actress nominated for an Oscar. However, I have heard amazing things about Emma Stone's role in Poor Things, which I've not seen yet.
She's kind of an award show darling. Like people love her, and I love her. So those were the two that I immediately was like, okay, it's probably going to be between them. Again, I think it would be amazing if it were Lily, just to come out swinging like she has. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But it's another tough category.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think Annette Bening will win, but we did watch Naiad and talk about it yesterday on the show, and she did very well in that as well. So very exciting stuff. The Oscars will air on Sunday, March 10th, so about another month, and we'll see what happens. But